Parental Spirit. Wicked Windicator now drops back into 4th position, followed by Unique Joyful and then Wind Chance, and further back to Got Fly. Lucky 7 Stars has got well back along with King Bountiful. And the last one is the old Greybeard, and that is Hear the Roar. So the field is swinging off the back of the course now, nearing the 850 metre point. And the leader is Forever Clever. Forever Clever, who's one off the rail from Lansbury. Parental Spirit, Wicked Windicator. Then came Unique Joyful, Wind Chance, followed by Lucky 7 Stars, Got Fly, King Bountiful. And Here the Roar is last, and he's circumnavigating very wide as they swing into the stretch. With 350 metres to go, it's Lansbury in front from Forever Clever, and he's broken clear, Lansbury, from Forever Clever. From back in the field running on is Unique Joyful, but it's all Lansbury with 50 metres to go. Unique Joyful into second, Forever Clever, and then Got Fly. Lansbury's too good though, wins it by a good 4 lengths. Unique Joyful, Got Fly, Forever Clever, and then Lucky 7 Stars, King Bountiful, Wind Chance, Wicked Windicator. Here the Roar was back towards the tail with Parental Spirit. Okay, these runners are moving in for the final trial this morning. 1,050 metres for batch number 3. Penophobia about to come forward. Matthew Chadwick in the saddle. Well, Stratum Power's a little restless in barrier number 1. Stand by, and they're off and running, and Penophobia began like a rocket this morning. Fortune Bobo is certainly a quick horse over the first 100, but Penophobia's got his measure early. Fortune Bobo and the newcomer Fruition is racing quite handy. A length or so back to Spring Wind deeper out, followed by Silverfield and then Vivacious Winner. Arm Runder's back to second last, and Stratum Power is the trailer. But Penophobia taken to the lead this morning, sweeping down the side of the course, has it by a half a length to Fruition, who's gone up into second. Silverfield is third, 3 deep, and 4 deep as they approach the bend is Spring Win. Camped on their backs is Vivacious Winner from Fortune Bobo, Arm Runner and Stratum Power. But Penophobia, given a decent blow this morning, travels comfortably well into the straight with 250 metres to go. A couple clear, Fortune Bobo, Fruition, Silverfield and Spring Win. But it's Penophobia going nicely. Travelling nicely in second, Fortune Bobo as well. Spring Win deeper out, but Penophobia from start to finish over Spring Win, and in third position, Fortune Bobo. From Silverfield, Vivacious Winner, Arm Runner, Fruition, and a gap to Stratum Power. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome along to the Sha Tin Racecourse. I'm Brett Davis, joined by John Blance. Good morning to you, John.
Morning, and not quite as nice as it was yesterday.
No, it's not. We've got a little bit of rain here at Sha Tin at the moment. Hopefully just a sweeping shower across the track as we commence our Friday morning Trackwork session as we prepare for the Audemars Piguet QEII Cup coming up on Sunday afternoon here at Sha Tin. As we've just touched on, it's been fairly dry for most parts of the morning, but we've got a sweeping storm coming through at the moment. And sweeping up the home stretch already this morning is Ertejal. He's been out on the track for about 5 minutes, and quickly Douglas White has put him into a strong gallop here, John.
Yeah, he certainly has. The first of the Audemars Piguet QEII Cup gallopers that we've seen this morning. And like we said about him yesterday, he's got to look a little bit through the form book to find his last victory, the 31st of January 2015. But that was in the Cape Derby back in his native South Africa. And he's gone reasonably well since then. It was a good effort in Dubai last time behind, of course, that very good Japanese horse, Real Steel. So it's a decent form line.
Certainly is, and he's a real up-and-comer, isn't he? 4-year-old colt by Hard Spun. Mike de Kock certainly knows how to win around the world, and no doubt I have some confidence that he'll be fairly well, hoping that he can run well. He's certainly looked well most mornings that we've seen him, and we can see Douglas White just giving him a pat down the neck there. And looks like he's actually enjoying these conditions, as would you, John.
Well, possibly. I'm not rushing to get out there, Brett. I'm quite happy here, to be honest. But yeah, Douglas White, of course, very experienced in this race. Got a very good record in it too. And well, the only slight minus now for this fellow, of course, yesterday we had the barrier trial, barrier draw, I should say, and he got gate 11, which is not going to be entirely ideal, I don't think, as they run towards that bend pretty quickly. Yeah,
the wider barriers are certainly a little more tricky, aren't they, here over the 2,000-metre dispatch point at Sha Tin. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds now that we've seen the barrier draw. I think there is quite a little bit of pace drawn out wide. You wonder what the option will be. No doubt Mike de Kock and the owners and Douglas White will look at the whole scenario and talk tactics between now and Sunday. But I think his preparation's been very solid. It is his first trip to Hong Kong for Mike de Kock for a couple of years. Of course, he came here and won the Champions Mile with Variety Club, who, from memory, actually won in similar conditions to what we've got now, defeating Abel Friend. He was a dominant force, and I have no doubt that the son of Hard Spun, Ertejal, will be performing well on Sunday. I've liked what I've seen of him in the mornings. We saw him yesterday as well, earlier on Monday, Tuesday. Also, I thought he looked quite good, and he's already basically completed his short little workout this morning on the turf. Some of the other horses are making their way out onto the track now, and just looking at the rundown, we're expecting to see Highland Reel this morning working on the all-weather. We've got him on screen at the moment. The Japanese horse Lovely Day is expected to go to the parade ring this morning and do some schooling, which is often the case when these horses come to Hong Kong for the first time. We're hoping to see a gallop on the turf from Satono Crown. He'll also do some work in the parade ring, just getting familiar with the surroundings. We've seen Ertejal already. I'm not sure what we'll see from Nuovo Record this morning. We saw her yesterday. She looked very good. And Rising Romance also worked well yesterday, and we're hoping to see her on the all-weather track. But Highland Reel, I saw a picture of Highland Reel earlier on in the week through the Twitter network. He was out in this weather, enjoying the rain, actually, and he's not looking like he's upset about it this morning either.
Well, plenty of the wet stuff in Ireland, of course. He is particularly well travelled these days, but he's got gate 6 on Sunday, which is not too bad. I probably should allow him to get him to a relatively prominent position in the run, and of course he might need it to be a bit of a test of stamina, given that probably his very best form, certainly that win back here in December, is over the further trip of 2,400 metres. But the soft ground form is not that bad. He was second in the Prix du Jockey Club on a pretty yielding track over there in France, so I think if it does get on the yielding side here, he should be fine on it.
I can remember calling the Vase back in December, and in the early stages Highland Reel was in the first couple, and then there was a move from the back of the field. Harbour Master, from memory, took off from the field, and at that point, at about the 900 metres, when the pace went on a little bit, Ryan Moore just grabbed a hold of Highland Reel and actually sat back a spot or two, and then that allowed him to actually be headed by Flincher and then regain the lead. Wonder what the option will be with regards to the tactics. Do you think they might try and lead on Highland Reel?
I wouldn't be totally surprised. As I say, he's got the kind of gait now that at least they have the option to go forward. And I mean, he saw out the 2,400 so well here back in December. I think they wouldn't want it too tactical up front, so I think why not? He's a pretty versatile horse, certainly in terms of where he's been throughout the world and different surfaces and all that. So why couldn't he make his own running?
Yeah, well, I guess that's why the jockeys are on the big bucks, isn't it? They get to make those decisions when the gates fly and it all starts to unfold. But they do at least have an option from barrier number 6 to work forward and then see what happens around them. So Highland Reel, who is, as John mentioned, fairly well travelled. He's got plenty of frequent flyer points already in his back pocket. Only a 4-year-old by Galileo out of a Danehill mare, so he's beautifully bred. And look, clearly has the best racing ahead of him. Being a colt, you wonder how much longer they will keep him running. He's already got an international Group 1 underneath the belt. Hopefully we see more of him on the racetrack.
Yeah, but Coolmore are very sort of breeding orientated, aren't they? So you don't often see their horses going on and on and on, certainly over middle distances. But we'll have to wait and see. He's certainly been a good money spinner for them as a racehorse so far, and he seems to have a fine temperament for all this sort of stuff, so why not?
Certainly does, yeah, he's handling everything perfectly. It'll be just his 13th career race start here on Sunday in the Audemars Piguet QEII Cup, his second start here in Hong Kong, and of course at this stage he remains unbeaten on Hong Kong soil. So he's just starting to pick up his work now. Fitness is not going to be an issue for him. He's been up and going for a while. He's done plenty of travelling. It's just a matter of him ticking over. Yeah,
that was a good run actually in Dubai. He was 4th of 9 there behind Postponed. Postponed was a pretty comfortable winner on that occasion. He really is a top-class racehorse as far as the middle distances are concerned. But I thought it was a good effort from Highland Reel. Certainly would have tuned him up for this assignment. And as we've seen, as we saw, he certainly does appear to enjoy Sha Tin.
Yesterday morning, a lot of the horses were getting a little bit sweaty. Obviously the humidity is back here in Hong Kong, but this rain that we've had over the last probably 20 to 30 minutes has just dropped the humidity a little bit, and these horses are probably appreciating it, and he looks to be working nicely here. Highland Reel is at the moment making his way off the top turn at about the 800 metre point on the all-weather, so it's just another work in progress for him this morning, keeping him ticking over. And obviously, I presume he'll probably do the same sort of thing again tomorrow morning, and he looks to be cherry ripe.
Yep, he certainly does, and I think he's got a very, very solid chance on Sunday afternoon. Here he is, turning for home here on the all-weather track.
Should we have a little bit of rain on race day? Of course, the track here in Hong Kong, the Sha Tin Racecourse, the track staff do a magnificent job, but you've noticed since you've been here, John, that the track certainly absorbs the wet weather very quickly. If it doesn't rain on the day, and we get a lot of rain prior to the day, it does absorb it pretty quickly, and you can still be on a good surface.
Don't worry about the rain too much. There was a meeting here a couple of weeks ago where it absolutely lashed it down for a couple of hours, and I was getting concerned looking for the wet trackers. And the first race was a Griffin race, and they went understandard. So it pays not to worry too much. Yeah, the tracks here in Hong Kong drain like nothing else I've seen in the rest of the world, and it's quite amazing to behold, really.
Yeah, well, the weatherman is sort of suggesting that we've got this type of weather for the next probably week or so. As we've already mentioned, we haven't seen the sun for a while here in Hong Kong. It's been very overcast and cloudy, but hopefully come Sunday it'll be dry, provided we don't get rain during the day. It should be still hopefully a good track. Here is Rising Romance now making her way onto the all-weather. What have you made of her so far, John?
Well, I think the general level of form is pretty solid. What I have noticed about her is she's not a particularly prolific winner, but she often runs a pretty good race. And I think what she managed to draw, she got gate 4, which will definitely be an advantage, I would have thought. And I think she's got to be one of those horses now that, I mean, they're all going to be a fairly decent price because it looks a very open race, but I think she definitely has to come possibly more into the reckoning than she was yesterday. Yeah,
I'm warming to her a little bit as well. I keep looking down at that form. She was beaten 5 lengths behind Lucia Valentina in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes at Randwick recently. We saw Lucia Valentina race against Aishin Hikari in the Cup here in December. Of course, Nuovo Record ran second, and Lucia Valentina was probably 3 lengths behind Nuovo Record. So if you're sort of lining up the form, Lucia Valentina with Rising Romance, then maybe she's got a little bit to find on Nuovo Record. But as you touched on, you know, she's won 5 races. She's only had the one Group 1 victory, but there have been a lot of very, very good efforts. Second in the McKinnon, second in the Mackay Diva, second in the Caulfield Cup as well. So she's gone very, very close in a lot of very good contests, and I really believe that her best racing is still to come. She's a 5-year-old. CV suggests, for me anyway, that the best is in front of her. So no doubt all Australians here in Hong Kong will be hoping that she can run well. And of course she's trained by a man who is no stranger to Hong Kong in David Hayes. 458 winners for David Hayes here in Hong Kong. He began training back in 1995. He was here for 9 seasons.
And interesting as well, that McKinnon Stakes, that second place you were talking about, that was on a soft track. So if it does continue to rain and we do get a monsoon prior to the start, that shouldn't cause her any problems.
No, she's 1 for 1 on yielding, and she's been able to win on soft to heavy as well. So the track conditions, whatever they are, shouldn't be a problem for Rising Romance, who looks to have settled in well. But like Nuovo Record, she has to beat the stats man, because there's only been one filly/mare to win the QE2 Cup from 12 attempts. So they've got that little stat to get over. But who knows on race day?
Indeed. Well, we've got Satono Crown now here galloping just down the far side. He's done a little bit of a, sort of half a lap of the track so far. Just seems to be pulling up down the far side there now. His jockey certainly well covered up against the elements. And this is a horse who is still pretty unexposed, Brett. Just the 7 runs so far in his career. And he won the Kyoto Kinnin last time, again, on a yielding track.
Yeah, and I get the feeling from what we've seen through the week that he's a little bit of a lad, Satono Crown, still a colt, and he's been sort of, playing up a little bit, and what he wants to do, he's going to do. This morning we can see him out there. He's having a bit of a sticky beak around at the moment, but he's like many of the good ones, John. He's got that little bit of arrogance about him, and I have no doubt that in time he will progress into a world-class galloper. Still fairly lightly raced, just had the 7 starts, he's won 4 of them. And again, I think there's still better to come. You wonder maybe in 12 months' time whether this might perhaps be a more achievable contest for him. It's going to be interesting to see how he measures up.
Certainly gate 8, which is a little bit, well, neither here nor there. Hopefully his connections will be certainly hoping he should be able to overcome it. But it's interesting because I remember scratching my head and getting very worried about the fact that Shin Hikari had no Group 1 form prior to the big race here in December. And of course that didn't prove to be any barrier to him. And Satono Crown yet to win at Group 1 level, but he's done pretty well so far at the levels below that. And there have been a couple of promising efforts at the very highest level in Japan. So I think if he's still on that improvement upward curve, then I think there's a possibility he'll go well. I
think the biggest concern for him is his behaviour. If he carries on a little bit like a pork chop come race day, then it's going to be concerning for his chances, because obviously first trip overseas, it's all new for him, and he's a bit of a lad, as we can see. If he can focus and put his best hooves forward and really concentrate on racing by the time the gates fly, then I'm going to give him a genuine chance of being very competitive. But obviously Jenny Chapman will have a good look at the horses in the paddock on race day, and we'll get a good assessment prior to the running of the race how he is behaving, Satono Crown. But he certainly looks like he's getting a little bit more focused now. Of course, Hong Kong have fairly much dominated the Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup. It's great again to have the sponsorship from Audemars Piguet. They've been terrific sponsors of this race for a long, long time, and it's great to have them aboard again for the 2016 edition. Hong Kong have won 5 of the last 6. We spoke about Shin Hikari back in December possibly not measuring up. Well, when rulership came here in 2012, I can remember looking back at the form and thinking, he's probably a good Group 3, good Group 2 horse in Japan. He came here to Hong Kong and he blew the opposition away. 3 3/4 lengths, it says in my Audemars Piguet media guide. So I can't claim that I was here for that, but that sounds like a pretty impressive performance. It was on the day. It was a brilliant performance. So it's going to be interesting. Here he is having a decent workout now, and he's starting to stretch out nicely on the turf. And the news is good from the weatherman. The rain has subsided, and clarity through the air is quite good now. We've got very good visibility here at Sha Tin. As you've already experienced, John, the weather blows in and blows out pretty quickly. It's if you think it's changeable in somewhere like the UK, you haven't been to Hong Kong.
This is Satono Crown just making his way down there.
This is what I'm talking about. Have a look at him here. He's, you know, he's very new, having a bit of a look around at the grandstand. He's not fully focused, as you can see in this piece of track work, and this has been something that's been very noticeable in most of the mornings that he's been out onto the track. So it's all possibly just getting to him a little bit. I mean, I don't know him, you know, that well, whether he's this type of horse back in Japan as well, but it's certainly been noticeable that he just hasn't fully been able to lock in on focus at this stage to what he's doing.
Well, that will probably come with more experience of travelling away as well. But he's certainly a promising horse. I'm interested to see how he gets on. I was talking about Gate 8, actually, and of course, your sort of general Hong Kong racing logic says Gate 8 could be a little bit neither here nor there. But actually, if you look back through the history of the race, Gate 8 has been the place to be.
It has.
So there we go.
Yeah, I get the feeling he won't be too far away from the pace in the early stages as well. Just having another little look around is Satono Crown. Lovely stamp of a horse. And the Japanese don't come here unless they think they can win. Of course, Noriyuki Hori has got some nice horses in his stable at the moment. Morris, of course, we saw him here in December. Duramente as well, who performed well in Dubai. And this horse, Satono Crown, has got good form behind Duramente. Finishing 6th beaten, just under 5 lengths behind him in the Satsuki show, and then the Tokyo Yushun, he was on only a length and a half behind Duramente, and we saw what he was able to do in Dubai. So there's certainly the ability there. Just wonder whether or not the focus will be there.
Yeah, well, we shall find out on Sunday afternoon.
And just behind him is Chautauqua, of course. He's preparing for his big race Sunday week, and he's been out on the track working this morning as well. He's been a little bit agitated too this morning. There is a little bit of thunder around by the sounds of it too, so that may have just stirred up the horses somewhat. But both Satono Crown and Chautauqua working side by side at the moment, just completing their gallops for this morning. So we've seen a couple already. I believe Nuovo Record this morning will be staying in the quarantine stable, so we may not see her. What have you made of? What did you make of her yesterday, John? I thought she looked quite comfortable.
Yeah, I think she did, and I suppose the slight danger with her, not that she's there's no danger with her in the sense she's a very good racehorse, but the slight danger is that we maybe take the form of that race in December, the Longines Hong Kong Cup, a little bit too literally. It really was quite an astonishing race in terms of the fractions they ran. And I'm just slightly concerned, I suppose, that she won't get that type of pace, and maybe she won't be able to produce that kind of late surge that she produced there on that particular day. Yeah,
the pace of the race is obviously certainly probably not going to be there like it was back in December. Now, we just saw Satono Crown. He's heading into the parade ring just to get himself familiar with the massive parade ring we've got here behind the grandstand at Sha Tin, and there'll be a nice big crowd in there come Sunday. Although he would be used to the big crowds coming from Japan, no doubt. But he's going to have a little sticky beak around there this morning, and Lovely Day will also be doing that. I don't think Lovely Day will be doing too much work this morning on the turf, just to look at the parade ring. I thought he worked nicely yesterday morning, Lovely Day. And for me, he's a little bit like Rulership. You know, he's very close to the top echelon in Japan, probably just a rung below, but potentially could be there. He's not far away, for sure. And he's going to be right there, I would have thought. He looks a little bit similar to Rulership in regards to what he might be able to produce.
Well, I think Gate 1 as well for Lucky Day, which if you watch the Japan Cup back again, he got himself into a pretty good position there, sort of 4 or 5 off the speed, if memory serves me correctly. And he should be able to get that situation here as well. He'll be able to get out of the gate, maybe sort of check, see what's going on around him, get himself into a nice position from which to deliver a challenge at the business end of the race. So his chances just got that little bit better now he's drawn Gate 1. Yeah,
it's his first overseas experience as well, Lovely Day. So I think he's handling it a little better than Satono Crown at this stage. So that's going to be in his favour as we just see Chautauqua winding down.
Yep, Chautauqua, a horse we're all looking forward to seeing, of course, in a week or so's time, a horse I've yet to see in the flesh.
Yeah, we saw, and for those people who were tuning in from overseas, we had some trials here this morning as well at the Sha Tin Racecourse, and we saw some of the horses that will be going around next weekend. Contentment trialled very well. Amazing Kids Gun Pit also trialled nicely. The Wizard of Oz and Penophobia was able to win his most recent trial. So some final hit-outs done for those horses heading towards the Champions Mile and the Chairman's Sprint Prize. But the focus, of course, this Sunday will be the Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup. We've got a terrific lineup. It's a star-studded field. The barrier draw's been done. It's just all the final preps to be completed over this morning and then again tomorrow morning. Have you done your selections at this stage, John?
Well, I've got a short list, and of course...
long short list?
A fairly long short list. It's a very open race. I mean, that's the great thing about it. From a punting perspective, you're getting a chance to, virtually whichever horse you fancy, you're getting a chance to really go sort of each way sort of a price you'll get well rewarded at if you're good enough to find the winner. I think, as I say, of the international challenges for this race, Lovely Day's chance just got a lot better getting gate 1. But I think they'll all have to be on their mettle to beat our Designs on Rome. But there we go.
Well, Highland Reel has just completed his work, and he looked to be fairly comfortable in the way he moved off the track there, and well within himself. So I'm sure all will be happy with what's taken place regarding Highland Reel as he heads towards the big race on Sunday. Of course, he is familiar with the track here at Sha Tin, already a winner from his one-time start. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't done my tips yet. I'm just going to sit back on the fence for a little bit longer and see what the weather does. I think the weather will probably have a little bit of a say in how it all unfolds. But I'm not against Designs on Rome. He's certainly coming right at the right time. Of course, he had some surgery in the off-season. It's taken him a little bit of time to get going, but as we saw in the Gold Cup, he was back to his brilliant best. And then last start, the mile was too short again for him.
And the mile's never really going to be his thing. He can produce good performances at it, but he produces absolutely top-class, world-class performances at 2,000 metres. And gate 2, the gate's not a real issue for him because he's going to go back. We know which way Designs on Rome is going to go. But I just think he's going to be interesting to see as well if Tommy Berry produces that mid-race kick as he does down the back straight. So he'd be a tricky one to live with for some of these international horses.
Yeah, absolutely. You just wonder about the pace of the race. Could that potentially go against him? But there's no doubt he is a genuine champion, Designs on Rome. I mean, we often talk about what a champion Abel Friend was. Designs on Rome and Abel Friend had some terrific battles against each other in their 4-year-old series, but he's really done it all already. John Moore actually even mentioned that he felt Designs on Rome was a better horse than Viva Pitaka, and Viva Pitaka won the Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup on 2 occasions. We move on now to Bow Creek, who will be taking his place in the Champions Mile. And I like what I've seen of this guy so far. He's nice and relaxed since he's been arriving here, and just some light work for him on the all-weather track.
Well, if he runs well, he'll pay a big compliment to Winks because he was quite well behind that one last time out Bow Creek, but international rating of 117, and he's one to be looking forward to seeing next week.
Absolutely. Well, the weather has certainly eased up. It's much clearer now. The rain has stopped. The weather predictions for the next few days are similar types of weather with some scattered showers. Hopefully nothing long-term with regards to precipitation, but it'll just take a little bit of ease out of the track. But I have no doubt we'll probably still be racing on a good surface because the humidity's floating around. It dries up pretty quickly.
Yeah. Of course, as well, by the way, we're talking about tips for this. If you're got access to the internet, which the vast majority of people have these days, you can always tune in to your good self Racing to Win on Saturday, and we'll get the full analysis of it all.
Yes, Racing to Win on Saturday night. You can get on the website www.hkjc.com for all the information. It's a terrific website. You can get all the information on the Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup, all the replays, the trials, all the latest news as well with regards to the track work. Everything is there. I know you spend hours on it, John.
I do. I'll probably spend more time on that.
Your wife tells me you're too on it too often.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely right. But it's a fantastic resource. It's the best horse racing website you'll get anywhere in the world, and you can get replays of. Yeah, I was actually the other night late. My wife had gone to bed by then, but I was watching some old clips of like Blazing Speed winning his first ever race and stuff like that, with a more youthful, your good self as well, doing the calling a good 3 or 4 years ago, and you can still find all those videos on the website. It's fantastic.
Speaking of Blazing Speed, there hasn't been too many horses that have won the QE2 Cup twice. How does he rate for you?
Well, he gets gate 3 and he's been running well. He's got a verdict over Designs on Rome this season as well. He's finished ahead of him when they ran in the International back in December. I think he's very difficult to rule out. Again, he's been ringed. He's on the long short list, and gate 3 as well. He should be able to get himself into good position, and also there's a pretty good bet that Jenny will like him in the parade ring as well.
Yes, one of Jenny's favourites, no doubt about that. He is a very good horse on his day. I'm of the opinion that he probably hasn't been going quite as good as he was last year, but he's not far away from it. I think last start, the 1,600 metres behind Beauty Only, he had a couple of little excuses. Prior to that, I mean, the runs behind Aishin Hikari, the run in the Cup was terrific in December. The run behind Giant Treasure was okay, and the run behind Designs on Rome in the Gold Cup was good as well. So. He'll be there. He'll have his chance, I think, from that barrier draw. I'm just not convinced he's probably going as good as he was last year. Now, Satono Crown has been to the parade ring to have a little look around, and also Lovely Day joined him to keep him company.
Found his mate, yeah.
Yes. There's been a few horses that have paired up over the week or so. Of course, Buffering and Rising Romance have got a bit of an affair going on at the moment. So. Lovely Day and Satono Crown just keeping each other company. And you can see here Lovely Day, he looks a little more relaxed, doesn't he? He's just that little bit more mature mentally at this stage of his career. Terrific horse.
Yep.
And as we said before, I mean, the form for Lovely Day leading in is outstanding. And they wouldn't be deterred at all, I wouldn't have thought, from barrier number 1, although, you know, it is a short run to the first bend and you can get tight and hemmed on that rail, but you'd rather 1 than 12.
I think he'd be all right from there. He'd get himself into, as I say, the kind of position he was in the Japan Cup, and about 150 metres to go in the Japan Cup, you'd have thought he was going to go on and win, and then he just got done by a couple of late closers. But yeah, it was a very good run. The run prior to that, the Tenno Show as well. I mean, the autumn form is just excellent, and since then, well, he's probably been over the top in December, and then he just had a sort of pipe opener a few weeks ago in the Osaka High. So I think he's a lot of positives now for this horse going into Sunday.
Yeah, I wonder whether or not, if we do get rain on the day for Lovely Day, is it going to be a concern? He's had 27 goes on good to firm for 9 wins, 1 run on a good track for 1 second. Hasn't touched a yielding or a soft or heavy track.
Well, that is going to be a little bit of a question mark. If you look at the form at the moment in our excellent form books that we get handed out here by the Hong Kong Jockey Club, there's lots of Fs in the going description, which is not just good to firm, that's firm. So that's real hoof-rattlingly quick ground, and well, it will be a little bit of a concern. But like you said before, I think for it to turn up really soft here, and we can't stress this enough, for it to turn up really soft, you need a real deluge just before the race. So I think I don't think it'll be any worse than yielding, even if it rains a lot in the next couple of days.
Yeah, and even if we get a deluge like we've had this morning, just 20-minute burst of wet weather, the track can still dry out during the day. If we get a couple of beltings like that throughout the race day, then all of a sudden, and then the horses actually are racing when the rain is coming down, then things get churned up a little bit, and it can change things around to some extent. But touch wood, John, touch wood. It'll all be good weather-wise. We can only hope that my app is incorrect yet again.
Well, it's just often with Hong Kong, it's just difficult to know when the showers are going to arrive, really. So, and let's hope they stay away on Sunday.
So there we go, Satono Crown and also Lovely Day completing their work here this morning at the Sha Tin Racecourse. And I pretty much think that we're getting towards the end of our Trackwork session this morning. We had a good morning here yesterday. There's plenty of international guests probably down enjoying the breakfast by now, and we might head down there very shortly and have a little orange juice ourselves. So we hope you've enjoyed our live webcast of the Audemars Piguet QE2 Cup Trackwork program for this Friday morning. The barrier draw's been done. Most of the preparation has been done. It's all about heading to race day now. We wish all the connections all the best for the big event coming up on Sunday. $20 million in prize money, not to mention Group 1 status underneath the belt.
Yep, and it's a fantastic renewal of the race. It just gets better and better year on year, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So we'll leave you with Satono Crown and Lovely Day heading back towards the stabling area, and wish everybody a good morning.